Tell you what, Mabel, you always look asleep in these videos. Hey, do you want some protein, buddy? Here, I'll give you a little piece of chicken. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty anabolic, right? Look at that. So why does Mabel look a little less asleep than usual today? Because we're talking about protein. Welcome back to day 2 of my 30-day challenge, in which I am trying to make a video every day providing as much value as possible to my lovely viewers out there on the YouTubes. Today I'm going to be covering a topic: protein. Specifically, what are the best sources of protein for people like me that are trying to get the best bang for their buck as far as money and calories are concerned. Maybe other people have different opinions than me, but these are just my personal top 5 sources of protein. This question was brought up by a Patreon supporter of mine named Nelson Chipman. So at the end of every month, me and a handful of Patreon supporters have a digital roundtable where we talk about our goals over the month, how we're doing with our health, fitness, life, whatever. And it's only $6 to take part in these meetings, so if you're enjoying the videos and have an extra cup of coffee a month, feel free to join in. But specifically, this Patreon supporter is also guinea pigging one of my early fitness programs, and I think he's getting some pretty damn good results on it. But one thing he is struggling with is hitting his daily protein target. And if you've been to this channel before, you know that I am a huge proponent of hitting your daily protein targets, which is roughly 1 gram per pound of lean body mass per day. And to figure out how much protein that really is, to find your lean body mass, all you want to do is take your body weight minus the weight of fat on your body, and that's your lean body mass. Your lean body mass is your skeleton, your muscle, your organs, your eyeballs, your phalanges, all that stuff, lean body mass. So subtract the fat mass from the weight of your body and you're good. That's the number that you want to hit with grams of protein. So here's what you're going to do. Hop on a scale, weigh yourself. That's your body weight. Your scale might also be a smart scale that's gonna tell you your body fat percentage. I want you to understand this number it throws at you is totally wrong. Your scale is way underestimating your body fat percentage to make you feel better so that you enjoy the scale and recommend the scale to all of your friends. Your body fat percentage being a little higher than you think it is no big deal. Everyone's body fat percentage is higher than they think it is. And if you wanna get an accurate gauge on your body fat percentage, I will link an article in the description of this video by Legion Athletics, which shows some pictures of body composition that are around different body fat percentages. Instead of your scale, instead of your calipers, instead of putting your hands on some bioelectrical impedance thing and figuring out your body fat percentage that way, your best bet is just to use your eyeballs, look at some people, and figure out where you lie. And all of this is just rough estimates anyway. You don't need to be super exact with it. What you need to do is get some rough estimates and then actually start taking action. And once you take action consistently, you will know what you need to change in order to keep making progress. You know, you can do all the planning in the world, but until you actually start moving, you won't know if you're moving in the right or wrong direction. Let's run you through a quick example so that you know how many grams of protein you should be shooting for each day. Just to keep it simple, let's pretend that I weigh 150 pounds. I actually weigh a little bit more than that, and let's pretend that my body fat percentage is 10%, which it might be around. So 150 pound man with 10% body fat. 10% of 150 is 15. So we want to take 150 pounds minus 15 pounds, and we get 135. So that means that I have about 135 pounds of lean body mass. Multiply that number by 1, that's how many grams of protein I should be shooting for each day. And it matters much more that I just hit this protein target each day than it matters exactly when I eat this protein in relation to like when I'm working out or when I'm sleeping. 80% of your gains are gonna happen from you just hitting your daily protein target. The extra 20% are gonna come from you really prioritizing when exactly you're consuming that protein and what exact sources that protein comes from. That's 20% of the equation. What I really need you to focus on is just hitting that daily protein target, 1 gram per pound of lean body mass or 2.2 grams per kilogram of lean body mass. And protein is super important for a myriad of reasons, whether your goal is to build muscle or lose weight. There are so many reasons to increase your protein consumption. If you're on a standard, typical American diet, you're probably not getting enough protein as it is. So I really recommend bumping up those protein numbers and trying to hit those targets. But this video is already running a little long and I want to prevent it being an hour-long video about protein, so let's just talk about how you can get protein into your diet. And I know the first thing you're thinking, I'll just buy a big tub of protein and have me some classic protein shakes, anabolic window, I'll have them within an hour of my workouts and I'll be fine. I'll take 5 scoops of protein after I'm done lifting and I'll be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. Or I'll at least be as ripped as Mabel. But that's not the case. You don't want to get all of your protein from protein powders simply because they're a super processed food. Now, I am a fan of protein powders. I think they're delicious, and I think if you're gonna be eating processed foods, you might as well have a high protein source of processed foods. And making it a protein shake is awesome. Whey protein shakes are great, but we're not here to talk about protein powders. Today, it's about getting that protein from whole food sources so that we also get other healthy micronutrients and macronutrients along the way. Generally, trying to hit your protein target from whole food sources is gonna be your best bet. And the last thing before I reveal my top 5 protein sources from whole foods, I wanna mention that these are gonna be pretty bland. They're just basically ingredients that you buy at the store. I am not a proponent of you trying to hit these protein targets from a lot of pre-packaged meals or like a lot of going out to eat, because if you try to hit your protein targets based on what factories and restaurants think you should be consuming, one of two things is gonna happen to you. 1, you are never going to hit your daily protein target, or 2, you are going to be totally broke. Protein is so much more expensive when you don't buy it in the raw ingredient form. And I mean that it is expensive in terms of money, but it also is expensive in terms of calories. So if you want to save on cash and calories, try out my top 5 favorite sources of protein. Sorry, Mabel, I just smacked your ear. Let's get into it. All right, number 1, and these are in no particular order, but oven roasted deli meats of the lean variety. So I picked these up at Aldi. I'm talking about oven roasted turkey breast and oven roasted chicken breast. Deli meats typically have a serving size of 2 ounces or 56 grams, which is usually about 2 slices of the bigger cuts of deli meat, which is totally fine. But anytime you're having oven roasted deli meats and you really want to hit your protein target, I recommend doubling that. So let's just go for 100 gram servings, and that's going to be right around 4 ounces. So in 100 grams of oven roasted chicken breast, we're talking about probably 100 calories, anywhere between 20 and 25 grams of protein. And oven roasted turkey is just about the same. For 100 grams, you're looking at about 100 calories and about 20 to 25 grams of protein, depending on where you get it. And I will say this packaged stuff is probably a little bit of a waste of money. You're probably better off to just go to your local deli and order a pound of oven roasted turkey, but just make sure it's the oven roasted. You don't want it to be flavored in too many crazy ways, especially that honey mesquite stuff, which actually isn't honey. It's probably high fructose corn syrup and some artificial flavoring. And notice that I didn't mention salami. So if we get into the more processed meats that contain a bunch of different pork and beef and dextrose and all of this insanity, you know, once the ingredient list gets really long on your deli meat. So here in 25 grams, so we're talking a quarter of the serving size I just listed you. We got 120 calories, 11 grams of fat, 1 gram of carbs, and 5 grams of protein. So if you want to multiply that by 4 so that we get more of a standard serving, you're looking at like 480 calories for only 20 grams of protein. Again, they're not bad to include in your diet occasionally, but you want to stick to the turkey and the chicken. So you want to avoid letting factories and restaurants flavor your meat for you. It's up to you to flavor your meat. Like, I know what you're thinking. Oven roasted turkey? That sounds super bland for my midday sandwich, but dude, it's on you to zhuzh it up. Throw some mustard on your sandwich. Throw some hot sauce and sriracha on your sandwich. Put some pickles on it. Throw a slice of cheese on there. Like, you don't have to eat boring. You gotta zhuzh it up. Mabel's getting concerned. I'm getting pretty passionate over here. Daddy's just talking about protein. It's getting crazy. You gotta zhuzh it up. And is that a word? Zhuzh it up? That's something that me and my fiance say all the time, because we buy these bland ingredients and we zhuzh them up. If you know how to spell zhuzh, let me know in the comments, because I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's get on to the next one. Number 2, canned tuna and sardines. I know that some of you think that tuna and sardines are stinky and smelly, and that's okay. You don't have to have tuna and sardines to hit your daily protein targets, but I love them. I eat a can of one of these things every day, and my breath smells. That's fine. I make videos. You can't smell videos. The world keeps turning. 1 can of tuna is about 3 ounces. For the standard chunk light tuna, you're looking at usually between 80 and 100 calories, but that also comes with typically anywhere from 20 to 23 grams of protein. But you can also upgrade the chunk light to solid white albacore tuna. You're gonna get a couple more calories out of it. It'll be 130, but then you're looking at nearly 30 grams of protein. This one's coming in at 29 grams of protein for a little can of tuna. So make yourself a little tuna sandwich midday, or just have it with some hot sauce, dip some crackers in it. Whatever you wanna do to get that tuna down, you're really gonna have yourself a high protein lunch. And instead of tuna, if you can stomach it, I love me some sardines in water. Now, sardines are great. They're gonna pack a little more of a calorie punch, coming in at 150 calories per can, and you're getting about 20 20 grams of protein per can. And the reason the calories are a little higher is that you are getting 8 grams of fat per can, but this is the healthy fat. This is the fat that we want to be consuming. Sardines are a great way to really tide yourself over and get a good omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. That's not what this video is about. So just know healthy fats come in the sardine can, and they smell bad. You can also buy sardines in oil. You're gonna up the calories by about 50, so now you're looking at about 200 calories per can. Still, you got that same protein content because there's no protein coming from oil, just fat. So that's just gonna up the fat content to somewhere around 13 to 15 grams of fat. Generally, the fat that you're gonna get in the sardines, I like that better than the fat that's gonna come in the oil in the sardines. I don't like adding unnecessary oil to my sardines, though I will eat these from time to time, so yeah, they also come in oil. And Mabel is getting all worked up about how worked up I am about protein, so let's get on to the next one. Number 3. She gone. Plain old raw chicken. Every week I meal prep a ton of plain old raw chicken. You can either do chicken breast, chicken thighs, chicken tenderloins. It's all gonna be pretty similar as far as the calories and protein breakdown. This week we got a bunch of chicken breasts, which I meal prepped. They were having a sale at Aldi. I got all of this chicken. I mean, this is a fat tub of chicken. I got all of this chicken for $8, and I've already eaten a couple pieces, so more chicken than this, $8. What you wanna do is meal prep all of your chicken on one day of the week. You wanna toss it in a bowl and zhuzh it up, add some seasoning to it, make sure it tastes good, because yeah, plain old bland chicken does not taste good. Start your week off, just zhuzh up that chicken and meal prep as much of it as possible. You can toss it on sandwiches, throw it in wraps, put it on top of salads. It's gonna help you get leaner and stronger faster, and it's also gonna make your dog do literally anything. Mabel, you want some chicken? You twirl. High five. Yay! Good girl. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Mmm. High five. Yeah. Yep, I got some chicken on my fingers. Moral of the story, eat more chicken. And if you want to be a really good fiance, what you can do is while the oven's still hot from the chicken, throw in some brie cheese, cut up some apples, get some crackers out, and have yourself a nice little appetizer for the chicken salads that you're going to be having later. Baked brie for the win. I know it's not a quality source of protein, but life is not all about protein. Or is it? So in a 100 gram serving of cooked chicken, make sure if you're tracking your chicken, you track if it's cooked or raw. I like to go on MyFitnessPal and find the cooked chicken because it's just way easier to track that way after it's all cooked. I don't want to have to do those kind of conversions. So track cooked chicken, breast, tenderloin, whatever you got. 100 grams of cooked chicken breast is 3.5 ounces of cooked chicken breast, and that's gonna be about 30 to 35 grams of protein, and you're gonna be anywhere between 160 to 180 calories, which is really good because chicken is generally a lower fat meat option. Not all meats are created equal, because I know everybody thinks that when you go out to eat, you order the steak, it's like, that's the high protein option. No, you go out to eat, you order the chicken, that's a higher protein option than the steak. 100 grams of filet mignon, you are looking at about 25 grams of protein and 200 calories. So that's more calories than the 100 grams of chicken and less protein. This is because the steak comes with more fat. And I know what you're thinking, saturated fat from steak, isn't that the best thing in the world? Actually, not really. Animal saturated fats are not as good as a lot of people would have you believe these days. I mean, they're not bad. They're not as bad and artery clogging as people used to think in the 60s and 70s, but you don't want to be loading up a whole lot on saturated fat from steaks. If you have the option, make the best bang for your buck as far as calories are concerned, go for the chicken, but just know steak is not a bad option. Please have it if you're craving it, but don't eat it because you think it's higher in protein than chicken. Number 4, plain Greek yogurt. Keywords, plain Greek yogurt. I'm not talking about vanilla whole yogurt. I'm talking about plain Greek yogurt. You want it to be unflavored and you want it to be Greek, and that's your yogurt. Now, I do get the non-fat stuff. You can get yogurt with fat in it, but I prefer to get my fat from other sources like olive oil, avocados, occasional handful of nuts. I don't like fat necessarily being in things that can have no fat. And I know there are people out there that are huge proponents of whole fat dairy, and that's fine, but for me personally, I like hitting my daily fat targets through more edible, enjoyable forms, and if I can just have yogurt yogurt without the fat in it, why not? So for most Greek yogurts, a 1 cup of the plain non-fat Greek yogurt is gonna come in at around 120 calories and anywhere from 20 to 25 grams of protein, depending on where you get it. And the calories are gonna go up if you get higher fat versions of yogurt, or if you get flavored vanilla yogurt or blueberry yogurt. All those yogurts have a ton of added sugar and stuff. What you wanna do is just get the yogurt and zhuzh it up on your own. Zhuzh it up. You gotta zhuzh your stuff up, people. So throw in some berries, throw in some stevia, throw in some artificial sweeteners, throw in a little bit of granola if you want, do whatever you want to it, put some protein powder in it, make it delicious. It's up to you to zhuzh up your food. Don't let other people zhuzh it up for you. And yogurt doesn't have to be a breakfast thing. It doesn't have to be sweet. It doesn't have to be a dessert. I make dressings out of Greek yogurt for my salads nearly every day. And my go-to is like a ranch style dressing. So I'll just take Greek yogurt, throw in some apple cider vinegar, a lot of dill, salt, pepper, garlic, and just stir that up. And it's a delicious ranch replacement that is way higher in protein and way lower in fat than your typical ranch. And if you want it to taste even more like store-bought, highly processed ranch, you can throw in a little bit of sweetness and processing by tossing in a little bit of like a low-calorie maple syrup that's just basically some gelatin and sucrose, and that'll really give it that store-bought vibe. But it's up to you on what you're going for. And another hack, if you frequent Chipotle, instead of getting sour cream on your Chipotle bowl, take your Chipotle bowl home with you and toss on a big knob of Greek yogurt. You're gonna get way more protein and way less calories out of your bowl that way. You're not getting that much protein out of your bowl anyway. Greek yogurt, excellent replacement for sour cream, excellent replacement for dressings, excellent source of protein. Let's stop saying excellent and let's talk about the 5th excellent source of protein. Cottage cheese. You might not, but I love cottage cheese. You can serve it in so many different ways. It can be sweet, it can be savory. One thing I love to do for breakfast on days where I work out in the morning, I like to have a light breakfast, dice up an apple and mix this with some cinnamon. And I'll dip my apple in the cinnamon cottage cheese. It's like a nice little sweet take. Get a little bit of protein, get a little carbs in before you work out. Another way to do it is savory, so you can chop up some pickles, toss it on there, serve it with a little bit of salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic. It actually pairs quite nicely with tuna as well, to piggyback on some things we did earlier. Now, 1 cup of cottage cheese is around 25 to 30 grams of protein, all for about 200 calories. Now, depending on the fat content of your cottage cheese, 1 cup is gonna be less than 200 calories typically. So you're gonna be anywhere between like 160 to 200 calories per cup of cottage cheese. Most cottage cheeses, yeah, they list the serving size as a half a cup. Probably wanna go for a whole cup if you really wanna be full and satisfied. So a whole cup of cottage cheese, under 200 calories, you're looking at around 25 to 30 grams of protein. So a little bit higher than the Greek yogurt. And those curds in cottage cheese, that is casein protein, which makes cottage cheese an excellent option to have before bed. I know that we're not talking about protein timing in this video, but just know getting casein protein in before bed is pretty cool because it's a slow digesting protein, which means 2 things. It keeps you fuller for longer and it helps your body repair muscle tissue when you go long periods of time without eating. Typically, people don't get up in the middle of the night to eat. If you're not eating for about 6 hours or more, there is potential that your body stops being anabolic and muscle building for a minute. This isn't a huge deal. If you want a late night high protein snack that's gonna give you that extra 20% of muscle gains, cottage cheese or casein protein in general is the way to go. And before I end this video, I have 3 honorable mentions that did not make the list. So number 1 honorable mention is egg whites. Egg whites are an excellent source of protein, but I'm not sure if they would be considered on the list of whole food sources of protein since the yolk has been removed. I used to love adding egg whites to recipes. It gave it a nice high protein punch. I would add it to my egg drop oatmeal in the morning to really bump up the protein content. You're looking at a great bang for your buck. They are an excellent source of protein. Or should I say, excellent source of protein. However, a lot of people have digestion issues when consuming just egg whites. Like if I take down a reasonable serving of egg whites, I'm gonna be a fart machine. And I didn't realize this for the longest time, but after farting like a maniac for years, I decided to try cutting egg whites entirely out of my diet. And I'll say there is just way less gas being exported from my body on a regular basis. If they work for you, they work for you. Add them to things, but if they don't work for you, be honest about that. And that goes for anything anything on this list. If any of these sources of protein don't gel well with your digestive system, you do not have to eat them because there are so many other excellent sources of protein out there. Listen to your body. You could go and pay your doctor or some third-party service to get one of those tests done to figure out which foods don't interact well with your specific body, or you can just pay attention to what you're eating and how you're feeling and roll foods out that way. I don't know how it took me so long to realize that egg whites were giving me the digestional issues that I was having, but they certainly were, and they're certainly giving tons of other people digestion problems, so that's why they're an honorable mention. I definitely recommend them. I think they taste great, but you gotta make sure that the people you're living with are on board. Mabel is not on board. Second honorable mention is a protein source for vegans, because you'll notice that so far this entire list has been animal sources of protein, because I'm sorry vegetarians and vegans, but animal sources of protein are simply better. They just have better amino acid profiles. It is a myth that plant proteins are incomplete. Plant proteins actually do have all the amino acids that we need, but they just don't have them in the right ratios. And what you're getting from animal products is the amino acid leucine in high enough quantities that it's actually gonna help you repair and build muscle tissue. But that's a whole story for another day. Let's just get into one of my favorite sources of vegan protein, which is tempeh. Tempeh beats tofu as far as protein is concerned. In 1 cup of cooked tempeh, you're looking at about 31 grams of protein, which isn't bad, but this does come at a cost. Any vegan source of protein, unless it's a protein powder, is generally gonna come with a ton of fat or a ton of carbs. So in tempeh, 1 cup of tempeh, 31 grams of protein, but it's coming with 18 grams of fat and 16 grams of carbs, which is putting it up at 320 calories. Now, another source of protein that vegans always turn to are things like quinoa, but this is even worse because in 1 cup of cooked quinoa, you're only getting 8 grams of protein. And that's coming at a cost of 220 calories because it has about 40 grams of carbs and not that much fiber. Now, quinoa is still great. It's not like it's an unhealthy thing, but it's just not a great source of protein because if you're on a vegan diet, you're going to have to take in so many more calories to hit your daily protein targets that it gets kind of crazy. And I have nothing against a vegan diet, and I totally support people that are out there doing it because they love animals and want to protect animal rights. I feel for you, I respect your cause, but dude, it is hella hard to hit those protein targets. However, if you are vegetarian instead of vegan, if you are including things like cottage cheese and yogurt and potentially even fish into your diet, you're gonna have a much easier time. And the third honorable mention on this list is protein powders. And again, that's just an honorable mention because protein powder is obviously not a whole food. And I'll actually do another video at some point in this 30-day video making challenge where I break down which protein powder is best for you. And if you personally have any other questions for me to cover in video topics over the next 30 days, 29 days now, please let me know in the comments of this video. I already know that I'm gonna make 2 more videos about protein, one about the top 5 overrated sources of protein and one about protein powders. It's just about overrated protein. Notice that I did not mention peanut butter today. If you think that peanut butter is a great source of protein, go to your cupboard, look at the nutrition info on your peanut butter, and then come back to this video and let me know what you learned. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate the hell out of you for joining me on this 30-day video challenge. If you're doing a 30-day challenge of your own to make the most out of the last 30 days of 2020, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, get out there, get your protein in, and don't forget to zhuzh it up. I like to zhuzh it, zhuzh it. I like to zhuzh it, zhuzh it. I like to zhuzh it, zhuzh it. I like to.